Season's greetings, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of Casual Chats. I am Patricia, and I'm here with Aaron Meta from The Aaron Meta Show.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Today we're going to be continuing our podcast with the discussion of Moana 2. We talked about Moana last week, as you can see, we just came out of the theaters and watched it, and we actually dressed up literally like this.
We've just seen it, and so the one thing I would say though is that I was somewhat setting my expectations a bit low for this one because I actually did read some of the reviews like going into this, and I didn't read any spoilers or anything like that. But the one two things that we took away from the reviews when they first came out is that there's more action in this, and that the songs suck. Well, let's talk about them, shall we?
Yeah. But before we get started, spoilers ahead.
Oh yeah, spoilers ahead for everybody.
Yeah, so if you have not seen it, go check out the movie in theaters, or if you want to wait until it comes out on Disney Plus, there you go.
Yeah, and as usual, because I can't remember, not very good with names, Patricia's going to be providing the names of the characters, and I'm just going to be going along.
I mean, I'll give it a shot, considering that. Yeah, there was like several characters that were introduced into this movie.
And none of them were interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, let's get started.
So Moana 2. Effectively, we're going back to Moana. She is now able to be a wayfinder and is able to go out and explore and try and find other people that were separated out when the islands were all separated out from each other. And there is this big evil cloud thunder the thing that
It's essentially a god, but yes, it
yeah.
does take in the form of a thundercloud.
I mean, okay, and it has it's basically sang this island that would unify all of the islands together. So Moana and her team go out to try and rescue this island, and also Maui has to be rescued as well because apparently, Moana needs that a bunch of heroics as well. And it's pretty straightforward story really, and unfortunately I think this is just another movie that effectively it's a Dwayne Johnson movie, so that's the thing that's going for it.
I mean,
Effectively,
it is literally.
it is. Sadly, unfortunately, now it's come to Disney Princess World. So
It technically is a Dwayne Johnson movie because not only does he come back as Maui, but he's also one of the executive producers.
exactly, yeah, and you can tell that his fingerprints are all over this movie. I mean, when they said that there was going to be more action in this movie, the one thing I'll definitely say is that there wasn't really any more action than there was in the original Moana, really.
Yeah.
And if anything, the one thing I'll definitely say is that Dwayne Johnson, I don't think. I think he just thinks that Lin-Manuel Miranda, anybody can do him, and but you can. This movie just goes to show that there's not much really to you can't emulate Lin-Manuel Miranda all that well, and this movie is a proof of that because we came out of this movie and I couldn't remember most of the songs.
Yeah,
Except for the Dwayne Johnson song, which is Yahoo, whatever it is,
the
and
tea house.
the Chi House song, yeah, it's almost like they just said, oh well, I can just see Dwayne Johnson in the in the boardroom basically just saying, oh, this is what you do in a Disney princess movie, and this is what you do. And by the way, Maui has to basically be all awesome and everything like that, and you can hear The Rock's voice in the boardroom watching this movie while all of this is going on, and I mean, I get that he at least he leaves some of his ego by the side to say that Moana has to go save Maui, from this giant clam that he gets stuck into and everything like that. But my goodness, compared to other Disney princess movies, there's a lot of qualities that I think were missing from this, and you can. The thing is that the one thing I'll say is that this feels more like what they tried to do with Frozen 2, where they tried to elevate Elsa from queen to now fifth spirit god, whatever.
Yeah.
And now Moana at the very end of this is now some demigod herself now.
Well, no, she's actually the main wayfinder because of her ancestor who gave her the tattoo. So I guess you could.
I think it was implied that now she's somewhat on the level as Maui as well.
I guess so. I mean, especially when we got to that ending.
Yeah, we did. And I mean, the one thing I'll give this movie credit for is that at least, I mean, again, I'm not Polynesian, so I don't know if they got the aesthetics of Moana right or not. So I think that's going to be a question, I think, for anybody who is of that of those people. And please leave in the comments if you think that it represents you in the best way. But I mean, it looks like it tries to do it, and from what I can see, so I'm hoping that this. Mind you, I'm sure if it wasn't, I'm sure we're hearing a lot about it by now. So,
Sure.
but I mean, again, I can't really judge on that because I'm not all that familiar with the Polynesian community and their culture and everything like that.
Right.
So yeah, so sorry, I can't really make comments on that.
Okay. Yeah. So this is something that we even mentioned last week when we did the first Moana movie, that Moana 2 was originally supposed to be a Disney Plus series. And literally at the last minute, like in the last maybe couple of months, was when they decided, let's make this into a full-fledged sequel. So, it's kind of funny because 30 years ago, Disney had the opportunity to release The Return of Jafar in theaters, and then they decided, let's release it direct to video. That way, we can have an opportunity for more people to have a chance to watch it. And, thus became the birth of the direct to video line that lasted from 1994 all the way up until 2008 or 2014, if you want to count the Tinkerbell
And the
films.
majority of it was misery. It was absolute misery. It
Yeah.
really was. And I only identified two movies that we did on Crystal Skull. They were Crystal Skull movies. I mean, that's how
Oh,
good that era was.
and speaking of Crystal Skull, guess what so happens to be the newest film in Crystal Skull territory?
Moana too.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like we're saying that now, but I mean, I've not checked the tomatometer recently, so I don't know. It was just about sticking on 61% the last time I saw it. I don't know if it's different now. I'm pretty sure you'll may put an update on this video
Yeah.
if it has. But I mean, we were actually debating whether this was going to be a Crystal Skull episode or whether this was going to be a casual chat episode. So,
Yeah, because we
yeah.
did the same thing with Strange World, in which that had reached Crystal Skull territory, and we decided to cover it with that. So we were debating for the longest time, and then we decided, because we did casual chats on Moana, let's just continue that with Moana 2.
Yeah. So, I mean, with the Moana 2, there are some good. Don't get me wrong. There are some good things about this movie.
Yeah.
Don't think that I'm being really overly negative about this. There are some good things to get into out of this, and there are some emotional moments as well. Like, good grief, like between Moana and her sister, the fact that Moana might have to go out into the ocean, and she may never see her family or ever see like her tribe or anybody else again. And there are times when we actually do somewhat kind of like believe that it's like, wow, okay, they kind of keeping us in suspense really about where they're going to go with this. So don't get me wrong, like there is some suspenseful moments in this movie which I think they do rather well, but unfortunately I think the fact is that there's not really like too many, there's not really a sacrifice in this movie, that it would make you think, oh wow, like this trip, like it's taken a lot on people. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, there's some emotional scarring, which I think is somewhat on cue with the Owl House a little bit, really. So I think some inspirations I think were taken from the from DT from DT for TVA, yeah, sorry,
DTVA.
DTVA, sorry. Sorry, I was trying to get the words out, but I think in regards to like the way they've learned from like other pieces of Disney, media in that regard. I think they've rather done that very well. But unfortunately, I think its shortcomings. I think sadly is that they sort of try to make this into an action movie, sort of like it is a Disney princess movie. It's sort of a Polynesian culture movie. It's sort of like a musical. Like this movie, I think has a bit of an identity crisis. I think
Well, I
from
mean,
time to time.
unfortunately, the identity crisis comes to the fact that, again, when this movie was in production, it was meant to be a Disney Plus TV series, and I can see the pacing of it. Like episode 1, we have the reintroduction of Moana and the characters again, and we have some new characters brought into it. Episode 2, you can have this is the stakes that are happening. We have this dream that Moana is given to by her ancestor, and now she has to be able to find this island. Episode 3, maybe Moana is traveling with her crew, and now she meets them for the first time. And meanwhile, Maui is captured by the god who's trapped in the clam. Maybe later on in each episode, you get to have like little inklings of things happening, and then you get over to the season finale where you have that big climactic fight, and there you go. show. I think it does kind of like feel like, oh yeah, they're leading up to something because like again, going into major spoilers, so you have this god who is in the clam, and she's kind of like really sneaky and suspicious. She kind of like keeps Maui hostage and she doesn't let him go. And she's like, oh, I'm waiting for Moana to come. And then she has this huge song number when she finally meets up with Moana saying, like, get lost and, find other ways. And you think to yourself, oh, wait, is she supposed to be like the twist villain or something like that? But no, she's not. And after they leave the clam, we never see her again. So it's like, oh, this is kind of like what they did with Return of Jafar. It's like, even though
Well,
that
no, it's worse than what they did with Return to Jafar. Like, you build up this woman to like be this really what seems to be like an interesting villain, and then like you get her to get on Moana's good side, if you will, and then all of a sudden like it's just, oh, we're going off to through the God portal, and then after that we're here at the island, and like yeah, we never see her again.
nope.
Like, what?
Yeah,
Like, wait, what was the point of all of that?
yeah, like we literally never see her again. She doesn't come in and say like, "Oh, the god was actually just a distraction. I'm the villain this entire time," or "I'm going to help you defeat the god," or something like that. No, she just stays trapped in there, and she says that once the curse is broken, then she would be set free. But again, we never see her again.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, is there going to be like a Moana 3 where we see her, like, and she's going to be the villain of that movie? Maybe.
I
I
have
have
no
no idea.
idea.
Yeah. I mean, like, well, it's making enough money now to basically be, there's going to be a third Moana movie. I probably would imagine.
Yeah,
So.
we'll talk about that later. But
Yeah. So I think so yeah, there's a throwaway character in this.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of throwaway characters, like
Oh
Moana's
yeah.
crew, for example. Like you have again, very similar to like you would expect in a TV series. It's like very similar to Buzz Lightyear or Star Command. It's like you know about Buzz Lightyear, and then you have like, oh, here's these other characters who are thrown in. I mean, here's the girl character, and here's the robot character, and here's the lovable oaf character, and yeah, in this case, we have the Fix It girl, we have the Moana fan, and the old farmer who can't swim, and
We
they
have the Grummungeon, we have like the really annoying techno geek, and then we have oh, big strong guy.
yeah.
Like it's like these are tropes like that you could also find like you can definitely tell, yeah, this definitely was a TV series. Like it's got all the TV series characters, and in a way it almost kind of feels like can you imagine if this was a TV series? I would say probably might be worse than Monsters at Work. Like, and that's an achievement in itself. If you're going to become worse than Monsters at Work, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
And then you have to and just like with any other TV series, you have to have like a young sister character thrown in there,
oh yeah.
like Baby Dill or Dirt Bike
But yeah,
Funny.
but at least Baby Dill was introduced later on into the Rugrats, while but while the Rugrats was still somewhat good, like here you're just throwing it in there. And to be honest with you, like I don't really mind the little sister character all that much. And I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, oh wow, like Moana's procreating already. Like it's just this. I thought it was gonna. Oh hey, this is the daughter character. It's like, oh, all right then, I guess. Well, I mean, that's interesting actually. Have we ever had a Disney princess where they've? I mean, obviously besides the Little Mermaid 2,
Yeah.
and I mean, like, is there any other character where they have had a child? I
No.
don't think.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to technically count Little Mermaid 2, or as recently discovered, do you remember when we saw Fantasia 2000? There was that sequence where they did the Pop and Circumstance with Donald Duck, leading into carrying out Noah's Ark. Well, that was not supposed to be there originally. Originally, it was supposed to be that the storks were delivering the babies to the Disney princesses.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you want to count that lost media as canon, sure, but yeah, Aaron.
I'm gonna say no.
Okay, so there's been two instances in which this happened that is sort of canon. Little Mermaid 2 and Descendants, where Descendants is actually about the offspring of the Disney characters and the Disney villains.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the only time in which that's happened.
Yeah. So, but in regards to the little sister character, I gotta be honest with you. I mean, some people criticize it, but I mean, she wasn't really all that annoying.
No, she
There's
wasn't.
been more annoying little characters. Let's be honest with you.
Yeah, there has been a lot more annoying characters that we had to deal with. And I actually saw
No, I'm talking about little sister character or little brother characters. Like,
Sure,
yeah. Like, there's been way more annoying characters than this one.
Oh yeah, sure. And I actually been seeing a lot of people on social media posting like, "Oh, they, Moana and Simia. It's very similar to Nani and Lilo, and but at least they were actually developed more."
Yes.
And also, I mean, I do know that some people in social media were actually praising it because, oh, I'm older sister, and I'm taking this with my I'm watching the movie with my younger sister, who's like 10 or 15 years old, younger than me, and I'm like, okay, that's very sweet and all, but yeah, it's at
Well,
least
here's the thing, like, because Moana came out in 2016, didn't
yes,
it? So, and now there's Moana 2, it's taking place in 2024.
yes,
So, a lot of time has passed. So, I
that's
think
true.
the original Moana fans, I'm sure there's a lot of them, and are now going to be going to see Moana 2 as not as, like, maybe, like, between, not just the 6 to 11 demographic that originally would have seen that movie. They're seeing them as, like, teenagers, if not 20-year-olds.
Right.
So, like, that's where they're at the minute. So, yeah, this is the perfect, little sister, older sister, sort of. Those movies do exist,
Lilo and
and
Stitch.
yeah, Lilo and Stitch is one of them, and those type of family movies, I think there is an audience for those people. Don't get me wrong, and so, but it's just kind of sad, really, that I really here's the thing. I know it sounds crazy, but I really thought the little sister character was somehow going to stow away on the ship, and she was going to be like in the adventure.
That would have been actually pretty cool.
Yeah, but they leave her on the island, and which it's nice that they go back and forth, like to the little sister characters, saying how much she misses her big sister and everything like that. That was good. And I'm really glad that they did that because the easiest thing they could have done, and I really thought Dwayne Johnson was going to do this, is that we leave all the characters who we do care about all behind on the island, and we just stick with these four characters for the whole adventure and Maui, and when we finally get to the second act, and that's going to be it. That's the easiest thing he could have done. He could have been like hardcore action. Okay, some music numbers because you need to have for a Disney princess movie, yada yada yada, like all that stuff. Like they could easily have done that. But I'm really glad that they paid at least a little bit of screen time to all the emotions of all the other characters, while all this is going on, and the dream sequences as well because they're pretty hard hitting too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and we get a little bit more development with the ancestor characters, where the main ancestor that we saw in the first movie didn't actually make the trip that he was destined for, where he was going to unite the islands together. No, the island that Moana and her crew eventually crashed on. I mean, that was his last spot. Again, giving me Frozen 2 vibes. It's like, oh, Anna and Elsa discovered the ship that the parents were at this entire
which I
time.
still think is weird. Like, I never really I thought that was a really strange thing that they finally found the ship that their parents died on.
Yeah,
But,
so for all the Disney theorists who are thinking, no, this is not, the theory that Elsa and Anna's parents are Tarzan's parents. It's no, that's ridiculous.
yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah,
But
seriously.
yeah, so but anyway, going back to Moana 2, and the fact that they ended up like in the bones of like an old sea monster from the looks of it. So like that in itself is quite a chilling image, really. Like everything is just dead.
Yeah.
At that point. And the one thing I'll say is that they try and make it where, because if you remember, it was Moana who had to give Maui the pep talk in order to get Maui back, his confidence back, and now the roles are reversed. But now you get to see it's like Maui's not very good at doing that, and it's the problem is that they try and play that for laughs, but no, he's not good at doing it. It's like even like that bit I didn't really laugh at all that much. Like it was just it's just okay, we're gonna do a music number where we're gonna like get Moana her confidence back. Like, okay, cool. And then, but if anything, like I preferred, the idea that Moana's crew care about Moana so much that they're even willing to like pull together when they really can't do it, and to make sure that she's okay. That was a good moment, I
Yeah.
thought. But yeah, the whole Maui stuff I thought was just like, oh god, it was like I'd rather see the other characters really like, come together finally and, do all of that rather than like, have a musical number of, Maui, trying to, cheer up Moana,
Hmm.
if anything. Yeah, it kind of remind me of like, I don't know if you remember the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles coming out of our shells tour.
Oh god.
Yeah, like, and then what should we call it? April O'Neil does like the music number to like, get the
Yeah.
girls, no, you get like,
Turtles,
oh,
you
can
can count
yeah,
on us.
exactly. It's just come on. That's what I kind of like. That's also on top of that. There's one thing. I mean, are we ready to get to the end at this point?
Yeah,
Or
but before we do, I want to
yeah.
just mention that the song numbers are not memorable in the
No,
slightest.
they're not. You'd have to go back to the soundtrack in order to remember them again.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, you
Which is
desperately.
annoying because, like, you can see how talented Dwayne Johnson actually is. Because he did, what can I say? But you're welcome, and that song sticks out, far more. If anything, when you're watching Moana 2, that music number actually came back in my head a couple of times when I was watching Maui on the screen
Hmm.
because it is, it's up there with, We Don't Talk About Bruno, from Encanto, and so it's just so annoying that they had Dwayne Johnson, they had him like do this like very energetic song, which I don't really care all that much about. Would rather see something else. Like it was just a shame, really, that they had Dwayne put in so much of a performance in that music number, only for me to kind of like forget it, like the minute I walked out the theater door. It's like it's just
Yeah,
oh, what a shame.
that's all the songs in a nutshell. It's like, okay, here's Moana singing about the dream that she just had, and here's Moana singing about her destiny, and here's Moana and her crew singing about the journey that they're going through. And you've been thinking about like, okay, are these going to be just as memorable as the first one? But no, but you can definitely tell they're trying to emulate Lin-Manuel Miranda, but not doing a very
Yeah.
good job at it.
The one thing that also infuriates me a little bit is that here's the thing about this. I will stand up for Dwayne Johnson. I know some people in the comment section are probably going to be saying, "Oh, he's not that great of an actor." No, like I've seen him in San Andreas. I've seen him in various other roles that isn't him punching someone in the face and we're trying to do action. Like I've seen him do emotional stuff, and I think he is a very surprisingly versatile actor in my opinion. Like he can sing, he can make you laugh, he can do action sequences, he can do fights, he can do emotional moments, he can do romantic moments. He's a very very well rounded actor, and I just think he needs that one role that I think is going to determine separate him out from like all the times that people have made mistakes with him, at least in my opinion. So I will happily say that I feel that Dwayne Johnson is really capable of like giving us all well-rounded performance. I just don't think they put him in the right movie yet, and definitely not going to say Red One is definitely going to be that movie. Definitely
Yeah,
not.
I guess that's one
But
of the reasons why that Dwayne Johnson was an executive producer on this because he did three movies this past year that were not major successes. There were Black Adam, there was Red One, and there was another one. But yeah, they did not do very well in the box
no, they
office.
didn't, and so I just think somewhere down the line, I really hope that there's going to be that Dwayne Johnson movie I can point at and say, yeah, this is what you expect. It's like when Adam Sandler like did like all these really like mediocre like comedy movies, and then it's like then he came out with like this very serious movie. And he's like, yes, this is how good Adam Sandler is. And actually, actually in Leo, like you and I talked about, so the Netflix movie, we pointed to that and said to Adam Sandler, this is him being at his funniest, and this is him that he can definitely do a cartoon character really well that thankfully isn't Eight Crazy Nights.
Yeah.
I really hope I can point at that movie one day. Unfortunately with Moana 2 I can't point at this movie and say that this is Dwayne Johnson's finest moment. I
All right
really
then.
can't.
All right, now let's get to the ending.
Okay then, so okay, cast your mind back to Care Bears movie 2. And all the Care Bears are all going around Christie and saying we care. It reminds me of that. It reminds me of that. I'm really sorry. I'm sure there's some people who think it's it's a really emotional moment, like kind of like an Avatar moment, like when all the avatars come together and say this is the one. This is we've got to help Avatar hang out here. It is calling a moment, but no, it just reminds me of Care Bears. I'm sorry.
It also reminded me of Pokemon, the first movie, in which when Ash was running in the middle of when Mewtwo and Mew were fighting each other and he turns into stone.
Oh
And you have all
yeah.
the Pokemon crying and all the tears revived him back to life.
I mean, like, it wasn't really that, but I mean, like, it just kind of felt like, let's all join hands together and let's hope that Moana is okay. It's like, it's just, let's talk about how much we care about her. And it's just like, it was more like Care Bears more than it was, Pokemon. As much as I would like it to have been Pokemon, Pokemon would have made a bit more, the Pokemon ending would have made more sense because, like, it's all, like, tears are like water. So, like, they used the tears of water to revive Moana, and then she became a demigod out of the tears of, like, past, great, people. So that would have probably made more sense if they did that. But no, they did the whole hand holding, let's all care about her, and then she gets new magical tattoos, and now I'm assuming she's now a demigod, like, and who is, the master wayfinder and can reunite your people. By the way, she actually does. Funny enough, I really thought they were going to save the uniting of the people for the a potential third movie. I thought they were just going to be like, okay, we've raised the island, and then Moana hears these callings and sees all these shadows, and then we're just going to end it like that. And then it's going to be like, okay, Moana 3, like wait a couple of years, we'll make it. But yeah, I mean, I can understand now why this was the foundations of a TV series, because they would have raised the island. I think eventually when we got to the end of the first season, maybe, and maybe in season two, we would then go around and Moana would meet all these people.
Yeah,
I'm guessing that's what it was going to be.
that most likely
So.
yes.
Yeah, and interestingly, I mean, it does. The one thing I will definitely say is that it does give me intrigue for a third movie. But I got to be honest with you. I mean, we've been like this before. Austin Powers, if anyone remembers, the first movie was good. The second movie was and then the third movie was crap. And by the way, Mike Myers told me about a fourth Austin Powers movie for some goodness own reasons unknown to him. But I mean, there's another thing, like, where we've seen movies where the first one was like really good, and the second one wasn't so good, and then the third one is just like, come on, stop it.
Yeah,
So like TMNT was like that as well. Like,
yeah,
first movie was good, second movie was third movie is awful. Like,
yeah.
it's just yeah.
Yeah, Rush Hour is another example. First movie was good, second movie was
Yeah,
third movie was abysmal.
yeah. Like, I'm really. The thing is that, Disney, unfortunately, right now, I think will have no choice. I mean, like, it's made a lot of money at the box office, so therefore, Moana 3 is just going to be the natural occurrence of things. But
Yeah,
I've got to be honest with you, I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine this is what Bob Iger is thinking. It's like, okay, ever since COVID happened, our movies have underperformed pretty badly in the box office. And okay, now we have the opportunity to do movies again in the theaters. Okay, we're going to have Strange World and we're going to have Wish. Box office poison. And they're thinking to themselves, okay, what are we going to do? This is not what the audience is looking for. And so, hey, Moana's a really big hit. Let's see if we can do a sequel to that.
Well, I mean, they've been doing that. I mean, they say that some of the biggest movies this year have been sequels.
That's true.
But here's the thing about this: is like, they're not unwanted sequels. We liked Beetlejuice, and we like some of the other sequels that did come out. I mean, like, these were ideas that should have been done years ago. Like, but now it's only because these ideas have now come to the surface because fan demand has said that they want to see these characters again. That all of a sudden we're getting this abundance of sequels that are basically coming out. If it was up to me, they would have sprinkled these in whilst they were doing like all the original movies. Like, I would want to see an Incredibles 2 sequel, like, a couple of years after the first Incredibles movie came
well,
out.
that's Pixar.
Exactly, yeah. But what I'm saying is that all these ideas that have been simmering for a good long while, actually too long if you ask me, and now all of a sudden they're now starting to come out because people want to see them. And that's the thing. There is consumer demand for these sequels. That's the reason why they exist. And I'm sure there's those internet nerds that are out there who are saying, "Oh well, I want to see more original things." But I mean, with all the original stuff that's come out, and it's either been poor or it's either been bad at the box office.
Yeah, it's true.
So the consumer's making the choice here, not us.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, let's be honest. For all the people who are saying, I want to see original stuff, well, there's opportunities to see original stuff out there. All the indie films, all the foreign films. But unfortunately, general consensus don't even know about
Well,
this
it's not
stuff.
even about indie films. It's just about original content. Elio's has been pushed back because they wanted to get Inside Out 2 out first.
Yes.
And now Elio's going to be coming out in 2025.
Right.
So I mean, obviously that was because people were making the decision that they wanted to see these characters again. And I guarantee you, it's going to be the same with the Mario 2 movie, and there's going to be various. I mean, also we're going to be getting abundance of films that are based on other creations already, like a Legend of Zelda live action movie that's going to be coming out, by Sony and Nintendo. I mean,
By the way,
yeah.
I guess we didn't even mention this in the beginning of the podcast, but all the trailers that we saw, like they're already like pre-existing stuff. Like we saw the trailers for the Minecraft movie, Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Yeah.
So
Another sequel.
yeah, another sequel. So yeah.
Also, How to Train Your Dragon, the live action thing. So, like, the Disney disease that's currently affecting them right now is now affecting DreamWorks.
Yeah, let's see if they're going to continue on with it.
Oh god, could you imagine if they did a live action Shrek?
Oh god,
Could
no.
you imagine?
No.
Oh,
no.
would they dare to do it?
No, that would be terrible.
Oh grief, yeah.
No. I mean, that would be just abysmal. No.
Yeah,
Let's just hope DreamWorks, if you're watching this, I doubt that you are, but if How to Train a Dragon is a success, I mean, that's good on you, but don't follow the Disney wagon. I mean, nobody wants to see more live action.
But wait,
shows.
that's the thing. Like, it's not up to us, and it's not up to the studio. It's what the the movie going public is going to see. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, Mike. If How to Train Your Dragon ends up going the same way as Avatar: The Last Airbender, with how bad that was. I mean, like, if they say like European style, storytelling needs to be done with How You Train Your Dragon. I guarantee you they will never touch this again. But we'll have to see. But sadly, I mean, like from the way that it looks like they are going to be doing some sort of like action-packed, live action How to Train Your Dragon movie. So sadly, I think it is, again, that's where we might be going with this. I think.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Or, maybe it'll be a one and done deal, like when DreamWorks tried to do direct to video movies because Disney was doing it with Joseph King of Dreams, and they're like, nope, we're never doing this again.
No, exactly not. So, yeah, but anyway, we're getting way off track here.
Yeah, but the
So,
point is that a lot of the trailers that we've been seeing for all the kids movies, they're either sequels or pre-existing adaptations based off of things that are really familiar with a lot of kids. Like Dogman is going to be the next DreamWorks movie we're going to be seeing in
that's a
February.
spin-off of Captain
Captain
Underpants, the
Underpants.
first movie.
Yes.
By the way, they call it Captain Underpants the first movie, but we're not seeing the second. They've gone straight to Dogman and not bothered to talk about the second movie.
Well, the reason why was because it underperformed worse than they thought
Exactly,
it was.
yeah. So, like, that's why you should never call it first movie.
Yeah.
That's you're already dead at that point. Like, Doug's first movie, there was never a Doug's second movie. I mean,
No.
I'll just safely say that. We were there, we lived it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, but the thing is that I guess to wrap this up, I guess you could say that I would say. Expect Moana 3 to be announced. Moana 3, I think, is going to be inevitable.
Yeah,
I think, at this
and
point.
here's the thing. I think we're going to be expecting more Disney sequels to be happening because Disney hasn't pulled in this much money from their films in theaters since Frozen 2. And
And now that Dwayne Johnson's got this to brag about, I mean, like, they're going to be listening to him a lot more often.
well, I mean, they are going to be working on that live action Moana movie.
Oh yeah, that's already being filmed at the minute as we speak.
Yes.
And by the way, I've seen. Here's the thing about this: everyone's kind of making fun of the fact that oh hey, Dwayne Johnson's like in this like buffed up suit. It's like, well, keep this in mind. Like, I guarantee you, like, they're not going to be able to like do the live action tattoos. Okay, like they're gonna have to like animate him around him, if anything. So they probably need to put him in something that they can actually do, like CGI around Dwayne Johnson, because his tattoos are not going to move around by themselves.
No.
So yeah, I mean, he's giving him a little bit of leeway, I think, in that regard. So, but in regards to the live action Moana movie, I mean, obviously we're going to see if it does any good or not, and then after that, I mean, to be honest with you though, like, given how good Moana 2, I think, has turned out, I mean, at least I'm saying box office wise, not necessarily quality wise, I think Moana 3, I think, is going to be inevitable.
Yeah, and I
at
think
this
it's
point.
going to be inevitable that we're going to be getting more sequels to these films because
Well,
I mean,
here's the thing, I don't complain about that. I don't complain about
no,
that.
you're not complaining about that, and I wouldn't complain about it either. But I think it's the context of why they're releasing the sequels in the first place.
I know, and so I mean, here's the thing: it's like people groan like when they say, "Oh, I want to see," people they're going to announce The Incredibles 3, but it's like I always argued from the very beginning of the first, I even on the if I remember on the first Pix Mix discussion we had on The Incredibles, I argue that this should be a trilogy. Like, they should cover, like, give everyone their individual stories. Like, Mr. Incredible has his individual story. Elastigirl has his individual story in the second movie. Maybe, Violet and Dash will get their own movie in Incredibles, get their story in Incredibles 3. Like, it's, there's a lot of potential in The Incredibles, so, don't write them off.
Again, Pixar.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, I think that with the next movie is going to be Zootopia 2. And I think that that's a good idea because there's a lot of possibilities for Zootopia because it has this huge expansive
Well, we
world.
haven't seen Zootopia Plus yet, so we're going to give you our thoughts when we actually do go and see it. But in regards to Zootopia 2, I mean, obviously that's going to be... it's kind of funny, really, because I think after, everything that happened with Black Lives Matter, and, I mean, I don't think sure there was going to be much of an appetite for, seeing police officers in good guy roles. And so I think that's the reason why I think they've been holding off on Zootopia for such a long time. And now, all of a sudden, because there's been such demand to see Nick and Judy back, I think now Zootopia 2, I think, is now going to be coming out. And so, I mean, I think to me, I think, where Disney was trying to play it, with how the sensitivity would have probably been if they brought these characters back at the wrong time, I think. But now I think now things are starting to kind of like simmer down with that. I think maybe now they feel like it's a safe bet to go back to the Zootopia characters. At least that's my opinion, anyway.
All right, then. Well, anyway, but yeah, I think that for all the people who are not looking forward to what Disney's going to be putting out, you have to understand that from a business perspective, this is working for them because the last couple of movies, ever since when COVID happened and they had to release their stuff on Disney Plus and all that kind of stuff, I mean, they haven't been ranking in a whole bunch of money. And when finally apparently when they released Strange World and Wish into theaters, nobody was really going for them, and there was a lot of general consensus from the critics about how much they hated it because it was.
By the way, one movie had LGBTQ representation, and that was Strange World, and the other one didn't, and both of them performed badly. So it's nothing to do with that.
No,
So
not even.
I'm just pointing that out anyway. So
Yeah, I mean, the reason why both of them did not do very well is because one of them was just a generic, sci-fi story with characters that we really couldn't get ourselves invested in, and the other one was just a pandering celebration of the 100 years of Disney with just some stale ideas.
yeah, they just basically just said, okay, let's wrap up all like the 100 year like the movies that all Disney princess movies that we know and come to love, and let's just wrap them all up into Wish, and then let's just tell this generic story. And while trying to do I can't pronounce it, like Lin Manuel Miranda songs, but they're not actually Lin Manuel Miranda songs, if that makes sense. So that's the reason why Wish did pretty badly, because it was just very average.
Yeah.
And the only thing that you kind of the reason why you watch is because in the credits they actually give you characters you actually do like to watch.
Yeah, and trust me, in this day and age, average is not good enough anymore.
No, it's not.
Yeah, you cannot do average in this day and age, especially
It's
with.
not about doing average. It's the fact that you need to do something to stand out. Like, so the problem, going back to Moana 2, there's nothing in this movie that I think makes it stand out from the crowd.
No, it doesn't.
That's the thing. Like, it's, it still feels like, your typical Disney princess movie with just ramped up action and just, songs that you don't really care about.
And characters that you don't really care about either.
Exactly, yeah, and also they do nothing to. The thing is, like like you were saying before, like they made they originally this was supposed to be a TV series, and you can tell because some of these characters, were just gonna sound like they were just gonna try to be holdovers, like for several episodes. But you can't do that with a movie. You have to give these guys some sort of like character evolution. Like the elderly character who's on the boat. I think he's the only one who got somewhat of like a character evolution, if you will.
Yeah, because he starts off as this curmudgeon who didn't know how to swim, and he was the farmer who just like stuck under the boat, and then
yeah, but then he's the one who's saving Maui from drowning.
Yeah,
he's just this, so if anything, like out of all these characters, he's the only one who's got like a massive character evolution, and you picked the wrong character to do it. If anything, he's just supposed to be the comedy relief, like he's supposed to be the curmudgeon that complains about everything, but deep down he actually does like have a soft spot for everybody. That's how you do that character. You don't suddenly make him like the hero who's gonna like save Maui from drowning. It's just like no, that's not how it works. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yep, this is where we are now, currently in Disney, where essentially we're just going to be releasing a lot of average films while everybody else is stepping up their game. I mean, we talked about
Well, they're not really stepping up their game. I mean, Illumination is just going to be releasing what the second Mario movie is basically all they're going to do. Sony
Yeah.
Entertainment's just going to make a Legend of Zelda live action movie, which people are going to want to do. I mean,
Yeah,
like
but we
Disney.
talked about Illumination before. They know their audience.
Yeah,
Even though that they do the safest movies possible, they know their audience and they still make billions of dollars. Despicable Me 4
But
came out this
about this,
year.
like when was the last time you and I spoke about migration?
Since last year when it was the trailer
But
was
we haven't
announced.
talked about it since,
No.
have we? This is the thing. And when was the last time you and I talked about Sing? Or any of the Sing movies?
No.
This is the thing, yeah, we don't talk about those either. I think the problem with Illumination is that they're very good at making movies in the moment, but eventually, somewhere down the line, that's all they're going to be. They're going to be movies in the moment, and then 10 years down the line, I think you and I are going to be like, oh wow, what was that all about? Like they really took advantage of America's Got Talent, haven't they?
Well,
that's what they did. That's what Sing did. It took advantage of the talent shows.
Well,
I mean, that was on TV all the time,
well,
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
that's true, but at the same time, Despicable Me 4 was able to make a ton of money and people really liked it.
But here's the thing about this: Illumination has the Despicable Me series, and Minions just kind of like attached to the side of it. Pixar have like a treasure trove of properties, and Disney have a treasure trove of properties, and DreamWorks have a treasure trove of properties. Illumination effectively have what, two?
I guess
which one is like Gru, and the other one is just the Minions. Like I mean, that's the only two kind of like franchises that they've got in constant continuity.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Migration 2 is going to be happening anytime soon. I
No.
mean, Sing's probably like, the one, but mind you, they've only done 2 movies so far. Maybe there might be a Sing 3, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too surprised if that's, directly to streaming or direct to DVD, whatever, Blu-ray, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and as for like the other films that they've done, like The Secret Life of Pets, or
I don't even remember The Secret Life of. When was the last The Secret Life of Best movie?
the second one, and that came out years ago.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, in regards to that, I mean, the one thing I think Illumination is going to do, I think, is that they are going to see if they're going to have probably a look at like all the properties and see like, oh, hey, what can we make movies out of that everyone really wants, really likes of this, particular property and what everyone wants to see, and like it's not going to be like in the '80s where like we got like what's his face, oh, what's the thing that
The Rubik's Cube.
The Rubik Cube show. You remember that there was that one, and so it's not going to be like it's like that. But I mean, so they're going to be concentrating on well-known characters. In fact, is it Universal is doing the Sonic the Hedgehog movies? Or is it?
No,
Paramount. Paramount is doing the universe. Yeah, they're focusing on the Sonic the Hedgehog movies. The third one's going to be coming out. Very soon.
It's actually going to be coming out on December 21st.
21st, exactly. So there's going to be that, and so I think that's where we're going. It's going to be sequels and existing properties, which I think are going to be, unless there's like a really good idea out there. I mean, who knows? Maybe Elio might convince Pixar that doing original stuff's we're still a safe thing to do. But I mean, at the minute, unfortunately, that's where we are at the moment in
Yeah,
regards to all these movies.
yeah, you're right, because the four DreamWorks movies that are coming out next year are pre-existing. You have Dogman, which is based off of Captain Underpants. You have the live-action How to Train Your Dragon movie. You have The Bad Guys 2, and you have Gabby's Dollhouse the movie, which is based off of a preschool series. And Elio is like the only original thing that's going to be coming out for an animated movie as of right now. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be some other original stuff coming down the line, especially for all the foreign animated films, like with Japan or with France or with any other countries. I just actually saw an Australian stop motion animated film just recently, Memoir of a Snail, which was done by the same director who did Mary and Max, and it is unbelievable. That movie's actually going to be coming out next year for the general public, but I actually got to see it before it was released, and it is incredible. 10 out of 10. It is a masterpiece. Like I mean, it's probably tied as like my favorite movie that I saw this year, right next to I guess The Wild Robot. It's that good. But again, that right there is an original story, and I think that a lot of people are craving for that. But again, for the general public, for all the kids stuff that's going to be coming out, or all the family entertainment films, it's going to be pre-existing stuff, because that's what makes the money and that's what gets the notoriety.
Yeah.
And
So
that's that. I mean, that's what Disney's going to be doing for the next several years. They're going to be doing sequels based off of their movies, because they know it's a surefire way of getting butts in the seats and money in their pockets.
So anyway, I think we should wrap this up. I think
Yeah,
pretty much now.
let's-
Okay,
let's
so
just-
let's score this. So I mean, 6.5 out of 10 for me.
Yeah,
You know,
I agree.
Yeah, that's where it is, and it kind of makes me worry about if they do decide to do a third movie. I mean, like I got to be honest with you, like they're really gonna have to give everyone a reason to for me to care about this. To be honest with you, like what's gonna be the big thing that happens in Moana's life in the third movie? Like I mean, like it looks like what is she just gonna learn to lose her demigod powers, and then she like faces off against another bigger enemy and becomes even stronger as a result. That's the way I think it's gonna go. But they're gonna have to give us something more.
Yeah, they're gonna have to give us something a lot more. I mean, I'm not familiar with Polynesian mythology and culture, so I'm sure that maybe there's a story that can be able to like emphasize the stakes of Moana and Maui. But yeah, I mean, they really need to step it up now that they have the island, and now that the people are starting to come in. It's like, what's going to be next? Like, what more can you do afterwards? Can you introduce more gods, or can you introduce more monsters? Can you raise the stakes a little bit higher? I don't know, but in the meanwhile, I'm not. I know that it's inevitable that there's going to be a Moana 3, but to be quite honest, I mean, unless they do something like that's really, really great, I'm not looking forward to it.
No, I mean, like, I think you and I are basically just going to be seeing this, just basically just do another one of these podcasts, basically. Or if it sounds like it's going to be so bad that we're just going to be like, well, yeah, we're gonna put this to one side, and maybe when it comes out on streaming, we'll probably let you know.
Yeah.
So.
But in the meanwhile, we do have Zootopia 2 to look forward to next year.
Yeah, I mean, like I have high hopes of Zootopia 2 as well. Like I saw some of like the sneak peeks in it as well, and I like the idea that they're going to go to like an entirely new part of like Zootopia, and they're going to be basically fish out of water effectively. So I'm looking forward to that. I really do. I want to see how Nick and Judy get on with that.
Yeah. So until then, everyone, thank you so much for listening to our discussion of Moana 2. Let us know in the comments below about what your thoughts of Moana 2 are. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you think it was mediocre? Or you're one of the people who actually thought that this was actually a really great movie that is on par with the original? If you're looking forward to our discussions of other films that you haven't heard us talk about, please let us know in the comments about anything that you want us to cover. Do you want to plug and promote your stuff?
Okay, so the Arun Meta Show, I'm actually on Blue Sky now, which is arameta.show, and I'm still on Tumblr, arameta.tumblr.com, and also I'm on Instagram, Arun Meta Show. So there's all that, and also I'll let you know when the blog gets going, arameta.show also will be hopefully on there as well, and also my podcast feed is also there too. So also to let you guys know, if I'm going to be taking a little bit of a hiatus this December, but I will be popping in back now and again. So if I don't see you by January, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
All right. And as for me, you can check out oldschoollane.net. You can check out the YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/oldschoollane. I'm also on Blue Sky as well as at oldschoollane.net. I'm on Instagram, which is old_school_lane. You can check out the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, all those places. New episodes will go there first, and then they'll go up in a few days on YouTube. So, yeah, until then, everyone, Merry Christmas, have a Happy New Year, and take care.
Bye bye.